Hey guys, how's it going? So sorry I haven't posted a video in a long time. I just didn't really have much time for it, but in the colder months out of the year, I definitely have time to make some videos. So I was going through my library of videos I've done, and I really was amazed that I haven't done a video on this hilt. It is by far my favorite one in my collection. It's quite rare, and today we're going to be going over what exactly it is, where it came from, and the parts that were used and stuff like that. So let's get started. So this hilt is what's considered the A New Hope Motorized Stunt Vader Square Shroud. It's quite a mouthful to explain what exactly it is, but that's what it is. It's the motorized hilt that Vader used in A New Hope, because in A New Hope, they had to use motorized stunts just because of the equipment back then. It wasn't as advanced. Now, say Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, the development has definitely gone further, so they wouldn't need a motorized setup. It would just be a pole with reflective material on it, the blade. But they still use the reflective blade in A New Hope for the motorized stunts, but in ESP and Return of the Jedi, they did as well, but this one had to spin for the camera equipment to catch it. But yeah, so this was used in A New Hope. It was also used in Empire Strike Back and also in Return of the Jedi, but this is where it started from. The A New Hope Square Shroud, you could see it in the duel with Obi-Wan. And also there was another motorized stunt, which I'll be taking a video of in the next coming days or week. It is the Luke shared stunt, motorized stunt. Luke also used it. It could be seen in Obi-Wan's hut. You know, he has his regular hero prop in his hand, and then when he turns it on, you know, you get that little cut in the movie for him to, like, he ignites it. That's what that hilt is. It's the Luke pipe stunt, it's called. And they essentially, in the Obi-Wan duel, they were using this hilt, and I believe there could have been a malfunction, maybe it broke, motorized, because these are very delicate, and they needed something else. So all they really did was, for Luke's pipe stunt, it's considered the shared stunt because Vader used it, and they just added like a vinyl dance floor material to the shroud, giving it like the black tip, like Vader's hilts were, missing a grip. And in mine, I did the grip missing just to give it more of a different look versus Luke's, because it's essentially very similar. But anyway, besides the point of the other motorized stunts. So yeah, this is Vader's. Now, this hilt is from Super Green Props. Matthew, or Ethan, he goes off of on the RPF. This was a very limited run. He only did a few of them. He did the Square Shroud. Then essentially the same kit could be used for ESB, which I currently don't have. My main focus is A New Hope props, so I don't have that version of this hilt. And then he also had a Barbican, which is current day of this hilt. I actually have a video on that on my channel if you want to check that out. And so yeah, so this is just the A New Hope Square Shroud Vader. So getting started on this, sorry for the long intro of the explanation, but yes, it's Super Green Props kit. Now, it comes non-motorized from Super Green Props. So essentially, you can get it as a DIY, or he completed it for you. I did the DIY because I like working on these. But yeah, so I will actually come up close with it. So on my specific hilt, you can see some patina and rust on the rod. Now, I like vintage props. That's my go-to if I can. So any of my hilts, I try to have the vintage found parts. So this rod here is actually a Hall's #3 rod from the grenade for Obi-Wan saber. Now, it's not confirmed that this part was used, but it gives it a little bit of a vintage heritage, I guess you can say, because it's a vintage part. So it just adds a little bit of the realism to it. And then this shroud here obviously comes in the custom kit from Matthew. It comes with the DIY kit. It was just aluminum, so I painted it, and kind of over time it kind of got some, a little bit of roughing around the edges a little bit here and there, but it gives it that more rough appearance, because you know these weren't clean on set when they used them. Okay, and then one thing so right here, it's just a little grip added in this placement. I believe it's more comfortable for David Prowse as he was dueling with it. You know, having big hands and wearing the gloves. Now coming around back here, this is just a little greebly, I guess you can say, that was on the hilt. This comes in Matthew's kit. Now, most of the stuff on this, I didn't drill. I just E6000 on because I didn't want to damage it. So I cut down these brass screws, and this is also black on the hilt in the movie. So I painted that, and then I E6000 this greebly on in place, so nothing's drilled. And you can see I kind of went through with some steel wool because this was shiny, and I just doled it up to give it more of that realism effect, because you know for sure this wasn't very shiny in the movie. Now this is very, very special. So I was lucky enough to find a vintage MPP clamp. Now it's very tough just to even get an MPP, let alone the clamp itself, because the gentleman was selling just the clamp, luckily. So I was able to get this vintage MPP clamp. And as you can see on it, the finish is more of a flat finish, like it would have been on the prop, because you can get more of a glossy finish. You know, there's several variants of the clamps. ESB was very glossy, but this is more of a flat, like a New Hope was on the clamps. And then this is a vintage Exactor 20 bubble strip I cut down to fit. And then that's how it sits in the rails there. Just kind of pinched in there, just on the shelf, I guess you can say. And then one thing about this hilt is that isn't accurate is the sidebars. These are the straight sidebars they're considered. These are more as V2-esque sidebars because of the angling. As you can see on the trap bars, they have more of like an angle to them instead of being straight. It's believed that the V2 had that style sidebar. So that's not accurate. These are supposed to be trapezoidal like ESB, but it's very tough to get trapezoidal sidebars, vintage ones. So I'm just rocking with the straight bars on it. Not too big of a issue for me, to be honest. So I just rolled with it. No, and then right here is the, right here is the toggle switch, style toggle switch. Now this is just a found part. It's not vintage. I just got it on eBay because it's literally the same thing, but it's painted black. As you can see, some of it kind of wore off on me, but I'm sure that's how the prop was, so I'm not really considered worried about it. But yeah, so this is a toggle style switch, you know, on and off. And then I have the Geno grips. That's all I use on mine. Cut to the right proportions and spacing. And you can see this hole here on the bottom. And that is for obviously the wire to hook up to your battery pack. And yeah, so that's the only hole on it for this. And then stepping down bottom here to the pommel, and it's just see-through. And as you can see, you see a rat's nest of wires and whatnot on the bottom, but that's how the prop was. Just had a hole in the bottom like that. And yeah, another thing to take note is there's no clamp sleeve on this. They removed it, probably for clearance, or they just slapped it on. I really don't know, but typically on an MPP flash, there is a clamp sleeve, but they took it off, so there's no clamp sleeve on this. And then that little bit of material you'll see on the bottom, that's just a little bit of glue residue from the clamp because they are glued on, so it's not really a concern to me. I'm not going to clean that off. Gives it more of the realism effect. But yeah, guys, I have my battery pack here, and I can turn it on for you. I currently had a 600 RPM motor, which is a little fast, because I wanted to match the loop pipe stunt I have, and that came with a 400 RPM motor. So one thing I did was when I put everything together, I swapped the motor. So if you're curious on how the motor is installed, there's actually a set screw under the clamp, and that set screw holds the bushing for the motor, and the motor I just have electrical taped to give it some resistance in there, and then the screw goes through and holds everything in place. And then the switch is wired, and then there's a coupler from the motor to the shaft I guess you can say, the rod. There's a coupler that connects them two together, and that's what holds everything together essentially. There's a couple Allen keys, and it's just like a flexible coupler, and that holds everything together. But yeah, so going back to kind of the beginning, Matthew just sold this as a static kit. I was lucky enough to reach out to him, and he sold me he machined the parts to make the kit. Essentially what that was a core for the top, and then a bushing for the motor, because it's a different diameter, the tube is. So yeah, something to take note is he did that custom machine work, because I can't do it. I could barely assemble it. So luckily I had the knowledge to do that. But yeah, let me throw a battery pack on this for you guys, and I will start it up and show you how it works. All right, guys, so I have the battery pack hooked up, and it's just a traditional battery pack filled up with AA's. So when it's plugged in, and make sure the on switch is on, then the shaft will spin. Yep, there's a bearing up top, and that just keeps everything moving. Now, if it looks a little choppy, I did use a cutting grinder to cut. I used one rod for both the hilts, so I measured it out so that this one rod would fit in this motorized stunt, and then the Vader shared stunt, or the Luke shared stunt. So that was definitely, because they're kind of tough to get, obviously. But yeah, that's it, just spinning there, sitting. I like the RPM of this versus the faster RPM. And yeah, that's just the bearing in there. Like I said, there's an Allen key, an Allen screw in there holding the coupler together. Yeah, very cool. I love the motorized stunts. Yep, and then just flip it up, turn it on again. And yeah, there's 2 spins. So yeah, guys, I just wanted to make a video on this. I know I looked, and it's been 5 months since my last upload. So a little bit has changed in the collection, I'm going to be honest. I sold a few things off. The items I have, obviously. But the DV6 I end up selling. The Barbican I sold, because it's really tough for me, because it's such a rabbit hole with this stuff, unfortunately. So I'm sticking with a New Hope version props, because it can just snowball effect into a lot of props. So my collection is mostly Vader based now, just because of what I have. So I have obviously a New Hope Vader square shroud motorized stunt. I have the shared pipe stunt, which is also with vintage, parts. And then I just have a regular Romans V2. It's got the vintage V2 card on it. Everything else is just from Romans. But I didn't realize this, but I just ordered a Highland, however you say, 3-cell flash. And I was told by a friend that it actually has the same vintage core as the MPP does. So I was able to obtain that for pretty cheap on eBay. And I'm going to remove the Roman core and put that core in place to give a little bit of vintage parts going on. I have to get a Wanawanga, a New Hope Shroud for it yet. And it's gripped from Roman, so the grips aren't as accurate. So I'm gonna have to remove them, which are a pain, and then get some Geno grips and cut them down. But other than that, it'll be pretty accurate. A little bit of vintage pieces here and there. But I do have something in the works currently that I was lucky enough to obtain. So stay tuned for that. Let's just say it's Vader, a New Hope themed, and it's a Hilt. So definitely stay tuned for that. And then a few other pieces I want to get on the channel. I have a Vader, a New Hope, go figure, chest box, and that chest box is actually a lineage casting of the original. So it has all the dimensions as the original chest box did in the same material. And with those, the found parts is tough, because there's Honeywell lens covers, a red and a green, and those are on the box, obviously. But other than that, it's the only thing you can really find that we know of. So I have the wooden switches, which are cut to size and painted on there to give it that realism. I also have, I didn't do any of this. I had it commissioned out to a gentleman that's really known in the Vader prop building. And the coin slots are resin cast, but the coin slots and the rods are both resin cast. They're supposed to be aluminum, as we know. but those are actually based on ILM dimensions. The gentleman got the ILM dimensions somehow, which I thought that was really interesting and crazy. So he painted them out to look aluminum, so they're like a silver. But the dimensions are there. The material isn't, because it's just tough to get the aluminum ILM dimension. It's really tough. So that's about as close as I will get, or many people could get, to the real thing, I suppose. I'm sure I'm missing something, but to me, it made it worth doing. I didn't want to do it and not have it, found part or dimensionally sound as the original. So it's something I want to put on the channel to show you guys. I also have some bits I got, some vintage found parts. I thought this was kind of interesting. I got R2-D2's, one of his objects. It's called a pickle fork, and it was used on R2-D2, and that came in the box, the original box, which is really cool. And then also something I want to get involved into is in the New Hope, the interrogation droid. I think is really interesting. Very hard prop to build, but I've been acquiring parts over time. I got a few of the medical supplies that are vintage, and just a few things here and there. It's more or less to collect now. I heard there's a gentleman on the RPF that plans on doing a run this year of the prop, which I thought was really cool. So I'm just kind of piecing it together in terms of parts I find in case he does do that run, and then I can assemble it myself with some vintage parts. But yeah, guys, I really hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm going to be uploading more videos from now on, and I hope you find comfort in that, I guess, that I'm starting to make more videos again. I'm trying to make them, good for you guys and as descriptive and informational as I can. So yeah, just hit the like button, subscribe if you want to, and then check me out on Instagram, Strike Back Props, same name as my YouTube, where I post some photos and just current projects I got going on. But all right, guys, thank you, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.